Welcome to Rauta. This video is done in commercial collaboration with our sponsor, Steelfest. Welcome to Rauta, and this time it's a black metal band from my home city, Turku, Finland. This one is a curious case because throughout the span of roughly 5 years, the band has put out 3 albums, and it's made relatively young guys. One could even make the claim of Norrhem being the new generation of Finnish black metal. What is also very interesting that even though they have been very active releasing albums basically every 2 years now and then some split EP and whatever, the quality has been good and the style very consistent. Now it's easy to sum up the whole idea with Norrhem to be just one more melodic black metal band coming from Finland. But that is not obviously the whole truth, but at least it gives you a little bit of an idea of what this band is all about. Now, the topics of Norrhem has always been more about nature and folklore, and that's how they have been portrayed. But beyond that, the music is more or less something that we could say kind of a diet black metal. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean anything negative in this context. It's more about describe the whole idea that this is in fact kind of a easy listening black metal. Yes, it's very melodic. Yes, it's kind of a sugar coated and in a way almost kind of a cheesy. And yes, there are lots of synths with the music. In other words, this is very far from those more primitive and raw end of black metal bands. And if you're expecting something like that, well, you're gonna get disappointed. However, if you're into something like more traditional 1990s ways of doing black metal with, once again, synths and lots of killer melodies, then you're in for a treat. I guess the closest counterpart these days to this third album, which was released early on, May 2022, is to describe this as the Turku-based counterpart of Finnish band and Oceans. The thing here is, both of these bands have two things in common which I think defines them the most, and those are these keyboards that are playing a big role in the music, but also the amount of guitar leads and melodic parts which are there to just kind of make these bands, both of them, rather easy to hop in. That is not to say that neither of these bands are, overly simplistic, but to just kind of get going, get the momentum in your head by good guitar parts and then those keyboard parts. I think that's kind of a common denominator. However, where these bands kind of differ from one another is obviously, well, the age and experience with the band members, but also, and Oceans being more high tempo, Norrhem more in the mid-tempo area. What is also interesting this album, Elonkehrä, is that it features a little bit of progressive elements. Now this is a part where a lot of people go like, okay, fuck it, I'm not gonna watch this review anymore, I'm not gonna check out the band, but worry not. The thing here is, these are not kind of dominating features. It's more like a fine way of seasoning the whole deal here. That is, they are merely to give you a glimpse what these guys are capable of, adding a little bit more progressive heavy metal parts, yet still focusing on the black metal what they are doing. Once again, very melodic, mid-tempo dominated, and that done with nice layer of keyboards. And this is exactly what this album, which is making this album rather timeless. It's kind of reflecting those times past now, that is definitely 1990s. Now, should this have come out back in the days, I would say yes, this is very much the kind of a Dimmu Borgir school. I'm not talking about the later albums which were more, in a way, sophisticated and more orchestrated and all that stuff. not to mention Emperor, but the early days when things were kept more simplistic. Just having those kind of a simple but good guitar parts and keyboards so that they work nicely in balance. On top of that, the album is having, it has a good production and kind of a basic, almost like safe raspy vocals. These raspiness, it's not exactly hard to get grasp on, or it's not very raw or primitive or very hateful and all that stuff. More like it's like cutting extremities. Yes, raspy enough to sound proper black metal vocals, but then again, something that is rather easy to get into. There's nothing like how to say personality in the style. That is, you don't have to kind of get used to it so that you could understand and like the album. So it's more like easy to get into, easy listening black metal. And if that sounds like a bad thing, maybe it's because you're thinking it as a negative ways. To me, I would say this is a good album. Maybe not as surprising as I could have hoped it to be. But then again, it's rather to play it safe than sorry, I guess. So overall, this is a good album which doesn't really, renew the whole idea or change too much to given ideas or patterns. It's safe Norrhem album with, nicely done ideas and nice execution overall. So off you go. Listen to this music and you will find links provided in the description box. So what are you waiting for? Listen and like. See ya.